Today, the goal is to create music, not just playing guitar and having fun. I'm creating music. So years ago, I wrote a number of songs with software called Fruity Loops, and I don't even think it's called that anymore. People call it FL Studio. And it was really basic. You could just it had like a grid, and you could drop shapes and you could create drums and synth and stuff like that. So that's basically my only experience with synthesizers and drum machines. So today I'm using the same kind of process I did, we're talking like 20 years ago. And I've got hardware instead of software. So Arturia sent me a couple cool pieces of kit. That's what the kids are saying these days, or gear kit. And I'm like a total noob here. So first one is, I've spent a great amount of time with them because it's taken me there's a learning curve for somebody like me who doesn't know this stuff. So I've got a drum machine, and that's called the Drumbrute Impact Analog Drum Machine, official name, from Arturia. It's a drum machine. What else can it do? It can do loops. Yeah, it's a drum machine. And then I also have a synthesizer called the MicroFreak analog, that's not a word. The MicroFreak hybrid synthesizer. Hybrid meaning it takes gasoline and it's electric. No, not all. It's digital and analog mixed together. I believe that's what the hybrid would mean. Yeah, so new to this stuff, join me and my experience of exploring this cool new world. Yeah, I even had to read the manual. Sometimes you got to do that. Sometimes you got to do the things. So one cool thing you can do with these two devices is you can synchronize them. They have a clock, an internal clock. So you can have your drums set up. I've got like a TRS cable going out of the clock, and it's going into the MicroFreak. So whatever kind of synth stuff I set up on the MicroFreak, and then I've got the drum set up, when I start the pattern or drum beat, whatever you want to call it, they can play together, and they sound nice, and it's in sync, just like the group. And you set that up. This isn't like a tutorial video of how to do all this stuff. Basically, I did look and figure out how to get the clock in the utility setting on the MicroFreak to sync up. It was pretty simple, and you just use a basic TRS cable, analog cable. Of the two systems, the Drumbrute Impact definitely looked more confusing at first. Well, the most important thing you gotta learn is the modes. It's got these things called modes, and that's the key to learning how this thing works. You can create a song, which is like composed of different patterns. You've got banks, which store your patterns, and then you've got a number of patterns. So you've got 4 banks, you've got patterns that sit in the banks, and then you got songs that are composed of banks or patterns. And it sounds complicated at first, but once you get the hang of it, it's pretty cool. And then, so the layout is pretty simple. You've got all your drum parts. I'm not a drummer, so I don't know any. You got your kick drum, snares, toms, cymbals, and you've got variations of different sounds. And then so I've got everything plugged in. You can actually change the decay and the pitch of the drum. It's really cool. You can really spend a lot of time playing around and fine-tuning the sound you want for your drums. So I've created a track, like a pattern, basically. I've saved it, and I'm going to go through it and show what I have set up. Little overview of everything first, and then we'll get into it. The MicroFreak is pretty cool. The unique thing about this, so it's got a digital oscillator, analog filter, a cycling envelope, LFO, an envelope. If you're into synths, that probably means stuff to you. You can change the octaves. The cool thing that stood out to me is all these, the keys on here, they're not your typical like piano feeling keys. They're almost like a printed circuit board, and they're touch sensitive. So it's like the more of your finger that touches, it really, does that make sense? Does anything make sense? It's got some cool features. It's got a pitch bender, and it's got looping, and yeah, lots of cool stuff. So a bunch of presets too. So I've been playing with the presets and going through them. You can plug in a microphone if you want to do vocoder vocals, which is kind of cool. I haven't played around with that yet, but hope to in the future. So those two pieces, you got the Drumbrute, you got the MicroFreak. That's going to be the basis for making a song. I've also got a microphone, vocal mic. It's kind of off camera here, but here it is. I'll show some close-ups of it. This thing is a tank. It's called it's an Aston Microphones Spirit. And Sweetwater sent me that. They're actually the sponsor of this video, so I'm going to be using that microphone. Big thanks to Sweetwater again. I really want to focus on making the music, and the gear is kind of, it's not the main focus, it's stuff that I'm using. And usually, it's like I have demos and where I'm going through everything. But no, I've already kind of learned my stuff, how to use these. This microphone, put up on screen, quick specs. Like I mentioned, it's built like a tank. It's a condenser, phantom powered. It's like the most rugged metal microphone I've ever used. And I'll show you the weight. I put it on the scale because I'm like, this thing is heavier than any microphone I've ever seen or held. So yeah, the main purpose, song framework. I've already got a song from years ago that I'm going to kind of restructure, and I've got the drums that I pulled out and recreated on here. And I really got to figure out the synth. And then sometimes you can have your synth be your bass line as well. If I can't find one that works for me, I'll add some bass guitar, and then I want to add some guitar, electric guitar over top, and vocals. And not necessarily create the full song in this video, but at least have something started that I can work on later. So on the Drumbrute, I've got a pattern set up. It's 90 BPM, beats per minute. Let's just play it here. And that just repeats. So if I click on the step button here, and if I click on the kick drum, it shows which beat is doing the kick, right? You can turn that on or off. And then the snare, I've got 3 snares over here. Second snare, got a couple there. No toms. Cymbals, every single beat is getting it. No close, no open. And then I've got a couple FM drums. So that is my structure of my pattern 1, which is stored in bank 1. I haven't created a song yet, but that's what you can do with the patterns. You can create them. You can also change the number of beats. You can have more. So much stuff. You can add distortion, like I can have it here like this, and I can distort it. And you can pause it or loop it. Steps. You can do the steps. You can repeat steps. It's really cool. Okay, now down to the MicroFreak. I've gone through a few presets that I like. They're numbered. So number 21 is called Short Strings. And you can hear when I'm touching the keyboard, nothing's happening. This one's actually set to a sequencer right now. So when I start the Drumbrute impact, it's going to kick in the MicroFreak, and it's going to play like a nice background song. So let's try that. Pretty cool. So you can do that with any of them, like even the first one here. If I go, I set it to a sequencer. Let's try that. You can tell I know what I'm doing. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to figure out which one I like. There's also another one called Hollows 57. I like that one. Oh, actually, that's not 57. 57 hollows. Okay, you don't hear it, so you start it. Get the idea. I've just written down some that I've gone through. There's so many on here. And then you can save your own, right? If you can build your own on the MicroFreak. I'm talking about the synth. This one's called Fat Moves. Let's get going. I've had time to play with both these things. My only complaint with the 2 Arturia devices, It's the power switch on the back of the MicroFreak. It's the only thing. It's got this little tiny little on-off switch, and sometimes I can't tell which way it is because I've got it. I didn't mention, I've got these sitting here on, these are laptop stands that I bought on Amazon. I'll put them in I'll put links in the description. They work perfectly. I got a little stack going here. One's for like, one adjusts the height, and the other one's just like, this is, like the MicroFreak is sitting on one here that sits at that level. You can't change the height. They're made for computers, for laptops. And I was looking, I'm like, this is basically the size of 2 laptops, so let's put them on these stands, and I can stand it. All right, let's get working on the song. Cover me, cover me, cover me, I'm going in. Come on over, come on over, come on over and see the light. There you go. All right. Huge thanks again to Arturia, Sweetwater. Links in the description. You want to check out anything that they have. The Aston microphone, the Arturia gear. This is fun stuff. This is new in my world, and I plan to have it here and play around with it. You can just like, I know I've complained before with amps having options paralysis on a guitar amp. You could get that with this, but that's the idea. You kind of want to have options paralysis. You just play. You just play with it, and then something will come out of it. And that's the idea. Let's go. Okay. All right. As always, play music and have fun. I'll see you in the next video. Who's calling? All right. As always, play guitar and have fun. In this case, play synth stuff. And I'll see you in the next video. Take care.